the looking after yourself, recognizing some of these early symptoms and having a self-care program is important. Can you expand on that? Like, I mean, if someone is just feeling a little bit down and not feeling great about their work, what are the things that they can do themselves to try and make sure that they can improve their situation?
Yeah, well, I think you've got your traditional ones that we always know with, monitoring your sleep. Are you exercising? Is there a change in your diet? Having some sort of awareness of your moods. I think those things are really important to start documenting so you can see practically on a day-to-day basis, are there changes? I think the interesting thing that comes with all of this is just that personal guilt, that I'm not cut out for this, or I'm actually the one failing here or not doing the right thing. So I think when we hear that someone is indicating to us that they might be experiencing some of the first signs of burnout or a little bit further down the track as well, we have to actually listen to it, because generally you won't find they don't want to leave the profession, but they're trying to say to us, how do I maintain myself within this profession? Because you don't want to walk away when you've done all of the work. So I think the monitoring of that, and that's why I think having a senior practitioner that you trust, that you can go to and have this conversation, that is also going to support you when you go to your practice managers or whoever it is, that you've got a senior clinician saying, oh, I agree with this and I'm happy to mentor this person. Make a change to your books like over a couple of weeks and just see across those areas, does this actually make you feel any better? Have you found it's easy to get up in the morning? Are you less frustrated when you're here? Put some breaks in where you wouldn't normally. And once you monitor it and you can see changes, or if it's not changing, that tells me how far advanced they are maybe in their burnout journey. Because if it's quite significant, it can take 3 to 6 months for someone to get back to a level that they find works for them. So I think once you monitor it and then you can gently make those changes, I think that's the easiest way to make a start while still keeping your practitioner intact.
And that person or people who are in your life who are supporting you, I mean, you mentioned like a mentor at work, for instance, but does it need to be that? Can it be someone at home, maybe, if you got a parent or a brother, or, what point do potentially you go to your GP or your doctor or someone like yourself to kind of start talking it through?
Well, I think you go to a GP or another professional as soon as you think, I'm not feeling like I normally do. I've noticed changes in myself. I think go and check that out straight away, because then you can prevent the rest of your health from actually suffering at that point. But I think the other thing is too, your people at home are the first ones to tell you if you're different. They're the first ones to tell you if your moods aren't so good, that you're not helping out as much, that you don't seem to have the energy. So I think absolutely making sure you have those personal people for you that know you as a human, forget you as a practitioner. If they notice the changes and then you can go to somebody at work, I think then you've got both sides taken care of, and you'll probably get a much better picture.
Kerrie, what about with your practices, whether it's your own or like in the wider healthier network? Is it something that's proactive for you guys to kind of set up those support systems for the younger clinicians? I mean, we talk about that, it's all about clinical learning and you've got to learn, your manual skills and understand research and whatever.
Yeah.
But when it comes to more this deeper personal stuff, is that something that's acknowledged?
Yeah, definitely, and prepared for actually. So we prepare the people who are taking new grads. So we spend some time with our clinic partners who are about to onboard a new grad and just remind them of the research. We do some talks around it. We have some resources that we provide of examples of how to provide support and things to look for in their own graduates that are about to start. We have certainly really strong recommendations for support, and you're right, it's typically couched around clinical support because that's what the new grads think they need to start with. But then we always factor in some, we call it around the grounds, where they'll just check in, do around the grounds for more of how they're going personally and professionally. So those recommendations are pretty part of our DNA now. I think the other thing that comes with a group like ours, which has size, is the ability to get some support outside your own clinic. So as Jacqui said, sometimes as the new grads are coming in, they're trying to impress everybody. They're trying to impress their colleagues and their patients and their boss and the front desk staff, and that's really hard. And so sometimes they don't want to fess up to not feeling so good in their own local clinic. So we again are lucky enough to have a couple of people in positions that they go to support people. So we have a recent grad coordinator, for example, and Emily's a tremendous support for new grads as they come into practice. And then I think the other thing, I guess, if we're talking generalising about the new generation, is they want everything really fast. And so they're really quick to want and now what, and now what, and now what. And so they've already sort of fast-tracked to the end of their first year before they've even got to the end of their first week. And so, again, I think one of the things that we do quite well now is really setting out career pathway options for them. And so, saying just, cool your jets a little bit. You've got some work to do first, but here's what's coming. Yes, there's light, there's opportunities, but just one step at a time. And I think that's important as well. I think there's this real discordance in expectations of how long it's going to take for them to be good. I think they honestly think by the end of the second, third week that they're just going to be nailing everything. And I think, to be fair, sometimes some of the clinic partners expect them to be nailing things by the end of the second or third week. And so there's often this mismatch of expectations. And so we spend a fair bit of time, addressing those. And I think the other thing we do quite well is reminding our team members that it's just not a one-off conversation. So I think you can set these expectations up beautifully at the beginning and everyone's on the same page, but life goes on. Things change over the course of the 3 months. It's sometimes not what they expected, and the clinic partners, it's not, the new grads, not what they expected. So it's an ongoing conversation. It's just not just a one-off and one and done type of thing.